Hello, everybody. I'm Helen, and I teach at the Dorothy Benson Senior Services Center. And today is part 4 of our Inspired by Pre-Columbian Pottery. Last week, what I did was I rolled out the bottom feet part, okay, which is basically a cylinder. And I got little teeny tiny feet like we saw in the picture. I went ahead and put this on here because I needed it to be pretty stable, okay, and kind of, it's not dry at all, but it's stiff enough, it's holding the weight of this bird. Today, I'm going to show you how to make that hollow handle that's going to probably be placed right here, and then it has a little nozzle that I guess you pour the liquid. I did open its beak right here. I haven't cleaned it up yet. So technically, you know, it is a functioning piece, except you really wouldn't use this because it's not going to be glazed on the inside. It's just a decorative object. If you really wanted to make one that works, you're going to have to glaze the inside. And after you put the spout on and everything, what you're going to do is pour a lot of, after it's fired, bisque fired, you're going to pour a lot of glaze in there and then swish it around. And then hopefully it's gotten, all over on the inside, and then pour it out. Okay. And then you can glaze fire it. These pre-Columbian things are not really, most of them are not glazed on the outside, at least the earlier ones. They're probably pit fired anyway. And however, they are painted and decorated with what kind of like earthen colors. So today I'm going to show you how to make that handle and spout and make it hollow. And hopefully I can attach the one that I made earlier that I'm kind of force drying. I normally don't force dry clay, but because of demo purposes, I had to force dry it. And one of the most important things that you should do is smooth out your piece. You don't want it that lumpy. Let me fix this shape right here. It just bothers me. The height of this bird, the sculpture, has been bothering me. But instead of cutting it down, because then it would, I wouldn't be able to see this part as well, I'm going to balance out the design with when I painted with the ongo. So one of the more important things that you need to do is smooth out your piece as much as possible. And the way you do it is to use a squeezed out sponge, okay? So this acts as your sandpaper. You don't ever want to smooth a dry piece of clay, because then you'll be breathing in a lot of the fine silica dust, and that's not good for your lungs. Okay, so this takes a while, and you can see I've got lumps and bumps here, but I'm smoothing it out the best way possible. This clay is kind of stiff, so I can't really smush and mush and smooth it out anymore, but you can kind of, well, when we paint the design, that's going to disguise a lot of the lumps and bumps. You just don't want like sharp, sharp pieces of clay sticking out. So I'm smoothing out, and this takes a lot of time. What you want to avoid is getting your piece sopping wet, because that can soften it up again, and your structure might collapse. So you just have to keep doing this and rinse out your sponge and keep smoothing it and keep smoothing it. Okay, let me see if I can get this part smoother. All the bumps and lumps are really showing up on the computer, but in real life, it's not as obvious. Okay. And clean out. Right now, I'm not going to touch the beak because it's a little bit delicate right now. I'll clean it a little bit later. Well, maybe I should do it now. Okay, it's very thin at the beak, so I don't want it to soften up too much. Okay, oops, I just poked it with my fingernail, so let's see if we can smooth that out. And just keep turning it and everything. And meanwhile, you might also start thinking about what kind of design you're going to put on your, what kind of design you're going to paint. And I'm going to actually use an underglaze. This clay is going to fire white. I'm going to use a black underglaze mainly because that's basically what I have here is just a black underglaze. And it's going to be a very stark contrast with the white clay. If I didn't like that stark contrast, I could, when this piece is all put together, paint the whole thing 3 coats, at least 3 coats of maybe a buff or even a earth red underglaze. Let that dry and then paint a darker pattern over it, or even a white underglaze pattern over it. Okay. If you're making an authentic copy, then you'll have to look at the pictures for reference and try to copy that. Okay. So right now, looks like the inside of the beak has a mess. So let's see if I can get that cleaned up. And I'm going to take this, see if that makes a difference. Okay, let's see if that's a little bit better. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how to roll out a handle. Let me go check my piece on force drawing real quick. Okay. Okay, I've got my handle and spout on top of one of those oil radiators. And I have to turn it over, make sure it doesn't dry out on one side. Okay, the easiest way for me to make a handle is make a, like a, what is this? Yeah, make a, like a, this cylinder first, okay? Roll out a fat coil basically. And you can roll out a slab and then wrap it around like a stick or something that's covered in paper and seal the seam. But I'm going to do it this way because I just find it easier. All right, what I'm going to do is, all I have is this 3/8 inch dowel rod. You might want to, well, you can use whatever you find around the house, but I'm going to use this because this is all I have. And I kind of wet it. And then very carefully, I'm going to see if I can insert it as straight as possible. Okay, it's not exactly, it didn't go in exactly straight, but all right. And then I'm going to roll this out slowly and kind of lightly. Okay. So right now, this is what it looks like, and it's starting to, the dowel rod is, the dowel is actually pushing from the inside. So as I do this, I sometimes, if it's getting too fat, I'll gently squeeze it and pull it very gently. You don't want to tear it, okay? And I'll just gently try to stretch it out. So I'm going to do that again. And if it's gotten too wide, then I can squeeze it closed a little bit. Squeeze it towards the rod. And roll it out again. You got to go slow on this, okay? Squeeze it and pull a little bit. Don't pull too hard because then you'll just tear the whole piece apart. Okay, and sometimes you can feel how thick it is on one side. And I've got a wavy, lumpy spot here where it got too wet. So I need to go on a dry spot that's not wonky right there. Okay, so pull it again. I can feel that it's thin over here, but kind of thick over here. Let me just flip it over. I can do it with my right hand better. Just kind of squeeze it. Okay, I'm going to try to even it out. Okay, so now I got a 2, okay? That's pretty good, right? So you kind of want to stiffen this up, let it dry a little bit before you, before you attach it, because it's a little bit too soft, but I guess you could attach it right now if you wanted to. Yeah. Now, if you wanted to stiffen up a bit, you would put it in, do it slowly, okay? So it doesn't flatten out your thing. Do it slowly and then set it aside to let it dry. So I'm just going to put this over here and let's see if my other piece has stiffened up or not. Okay, so what I did was, one of those small little radiator heaters. Oh, this is hot. Okay. So, wow, that's hot. Okay, I have it on several layers of cloth. And yeah, this guy's hot. And had it on this wire rack. Okay. Okay, so you want to keep, if you're going to force dry yours on a heated surface, you're going to have to keep an eye on it. It didn't really dry that much, okay? And this one's a little bit, maybe slightly bigger than the one I just rolled out. Okay, so now we are going to carefully, and notice that I did dry it in that shape. Oops. All right. So now I got to figure out where I'm going to do the placement. Let's see, where's my knife? Be careful when you cut or anything, it's going to flatten out your thing. So I think I might attach it here and here, or maybe even a little bit lower. And then the pipe can go up and down, or yeah, something like that. So I'm just going to temporarily cut it and save this piece right here. Make sure it's on the straight. So I'm just going to save this piece because that's probably going to be the pipe. Okay. Let's see what that's going to look like. Okay, so this is going to have to be cut at an angle. This is probably okay. So let me slice that at an angle. I'm going to wet my fed knife so that hopefully it'll slice easier. Probably a steak knife would be better than a solid instead of squishing it. Okay. So probably like that. I wonder if I should do it this way. Okay, okay, I'm going to cut it down more. Yeah, you just have to eyeball it. Okay, I really cut it down short. Okay. Yeah, I think I like it not so tall like that. Okay, so now I need to kind of mark where I'm going to do that. Right, let's see, right here-ish. That a little bit. And I'm really going to score this deep. Make mud right here. The bird is kind of leaning towards one side. Okay, yeah, I don't think I had it in the center. And this will be right around there. So I'm gonna really score that good. Okay, so I got that scored pretty good, and I need to very carefully score this piece. I am actually going to make, let's see. So I kind of have it sitting on this cushion of fabric. Okay, I'm gonna kind of splay this out a little bit, which is going to make it thin, but that's okay because I'm going to add a coil. I kind of wish I could see what an actual one of these pots looks like in real life. I have a feeling they're much bigger, maybe twice the size. Not sure. And that way this thing can be a little bit, do I have the right side? Oops. That way the tube might be a little bit bigger on the inside, and I'm not quite sure in the liquid, but it seems like the liquid's not going to pour out real fast, but there's enough space for it to go through. Okay, I'm going to have to be real careful with this because this one is still soft and not stiff. Okay, and it's kind of trying to lean over this way. So, all right, I'm going to put that on, and then where's my tool? Oh, here we go. Okay, now I'm going to try to merge those two clay bodies together carefully. And I'll do it here. You got to be careful I don't punch through the wall of the tube here. Okay. Now I'm going to take a kind of a wettish, well, not that wet, but it's not dry, coil of clay and reinforce that joint and fill in those spaces I just created. Okay. very gently because you don't want to squish that tube. See if you can get that on there. And sometimes I will use the end of a brush. Let's see if I can do this one. And let's see if I can show you. I'll just use this as a tool, kind of gently press and spin it around, turn it. Just be real careful you don't squeeze that tube. Okay. So this place, you're gonna have to mess with it a lot to get it just right. You want to make sure your handle is gonna be stuck on there really good. Technically, you would carry it with this handle, so it really needs to be on there pretty good. So take your time attaching this part. Okay, now try to smooth it out the best you can. Don't add water, okay? Because it's already pretty wet here. And once it stiffens up and gets pretty stable, you can take a squeezed out sponge and smooth out the mess. But when it's wet, don't mess with it too much because you might smash the tube. Okay, it's probably hard to see what I'm doing here. But because I can't get my finger in there, I'm just gonna try to use this tool. Okay, I'm not too sure. I don't think I have enough clay there. I think that was a blank spot. So I'll put a little bit for reinforcement. As long as your clay is wet, you can smush it against something, but if this guy is drier, I will have to score if I'm going to attach something. But right now, I think this is going to be okay. And the important thing is I am going to, with plastic, wrap these areas really good because I want that moisture content to even out. Okay, so my handle is kind of leaning to one side, so I'll have to straighten that out and making sure I don't weaken the joints. Okay, and it looks like it's sagging to one side, so I'll just have to push it. And I think it's collapsing here, so I'll squeeze that out. Now, sometimes you can, if you're worried about it sagging too much, give it a support, something soft that will give as this dries. Okay, now it's starting to crack here because it's too dry here, and that's what happened when I force dried it. it just got too dry on the surface only. So I am going to gently wet it right there. Okay, now I have the support here because I need to attach the spout. I think that's what it's called, or wherever you pour the liquid in. Okay. So right now, I better check this. Still trying to lean on one side. Okay. Okay. Now he is very, very wet. So for me to put this on, it's going to put weight on it. Normally I would let it dry a little bit more, but since we're doing a demo thing here, I'm going to see if I can do it right now. Let's see. See how. Okay. So this is going to be the top end. So I'm going to clean that up. And it probably could be defined a little bit and give it more of a finished edge. So I'm cleaning up because this part's going to be it's going to be seen. So let's see if I can flatten that out. Oops, stuck. Okay, and then see if I can straighten it out a little bit. And I'm going to kind of flare this bottom part out where it's going to attach. Okay. All right. I'm gonna keep it this, oops, it's sticking already. All right, so let me wet the bottom of this, and it's pretty soft, so I have to be really careful. And oh, so you have to make a hole here because technically the liquid goes in here. And make sure you don't squish that tube again. All right, so I gotta cut out a hole. Okay. And start out small first because you don't want to accidentally cut it too big. Don't poke all the way down to the other side. I've got a tiny, tiny hole right now. I'm going to open it up with the brush and that's good. Let's see. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, so I've got them both wet and I'm going to very carefully, without putting too much pressure, it's wiggling that part. Get the suction going by wiggling it a little bit. Okay. All right, now I'm going to take this brush right here, wet the handle, and see if I can I can kind of feel the, see if I can clean that up on the inside, okay? All right. Now, it's a little bit dangerous right now for me to work on this because this is still soft, but I have, and you know, so like I said, you will wait a little bit before you attach this pipe-like thing. All right, I'm going to very carefully do this. So I'm attaching that part. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. Okay, now I have to put a little tiny worm. I've got lumps here, but I'm going to worry about that later. Okay, I'm going to try to blend this, okay? Now, right now, this whole thing doesn't look like much, but once you start painting the decorations, it's really going to pop. And it looks like a lot of the decorations are kind of graphic or design oriented. You know, they're not realistic, so they're abstract. So I'm going to try it that way. Okay, so as I attach this, let me clean this up and then, let's see, parts, yeah. And I have to be real careful I'm not adding too much water, okay? So I'll just kind of touch it up right now and I can clean it some more later when it stiffens up and stabilizes. Just want to get rid of all the rough stuff. Okay, so now I need to check, make sure, you know, it's kind of standing upright. And I'll keep watching this as it slowly dries. Okay, so basically we got the whole thing put together. And now I have to decide, and then, you know, you will let this dry some more and keep cleaning it, smoothing it. But I need to kind of sketch out where I'm going to put any designs. Oops, I got this guy. Put him back in, recycle him. So we'll kind of think about what kind of design I might paint on this, okay? You won't be able to see the painted finished thing because, you know, that does take time and you need at least 3 coats of underglaze if you're going to paint it with underglaze. I'm not going to glaze outside at all. And if you don't want it to get scuffed up or anything, you can, once it's fired twice, you can't, or fired once, you can put a thin coat of wax. A lot of people will put wax. I really don't know what kind of wax, but maybe it's like clear shoe polish wax or something. Okay. butcher's wax or whatever it is. Okay, so I need to decide on what kind of graphic designs I'm going to make on this. All right, since it's a bird, let's see. Okay, so one thing for sure, and I'll have to smooth this out completely and let it dry before I can paint on it. But I might want to put a ring around its neck. Paint like a bold ring around its neck. I could divide up this thing. Well, definitely I want to put like a ring here, I think, because I want to give it an illusion that it's a little bit shorter. So I'll put it like a ring here, paint a ring here, and maybe even go all the way up to there. I could do some kind of a side wing image. Yeah. Okay. Or I can do random, or I could do abstract feather-like images. Okay. So maybe, I don't know if that's interesting or not. Let me try a little bit. And I can always erase this. If I did several images like that, that might work. It kind of does look like pre-Colombian. If you could see that or not, but if I kept doing that, and I'd have to do it here, let's see what it would look like. Whatever you do, it should be something you like, that makes you feel happy. I'm not real happy with that, but it's a possibility. The other option is, like I said, I could put an abstract wing-like design on the side. Let's see. And then, so right now I have the shape of the wing, but something more interesting should happen on the inside. Now, I don't think I've seen too many sgraffito designs with the pre-Columbian, but technically you could just paint this whole thing with 3 coats of engobe and then carve into it. And then the white was show. That might be interesting, but probably won't look as pre-Columbian. Okay, so I could do that. And then let's see, maybe on the inside have some kind of design going on. So the cool thing is you can do a lot of sketches like this and see if you like, designs like that. Okay, I kind of like that better than what I have here. This one, it's like, I've seen it before. It's, just, it doesn't really resonate with me. And then you're going to have to erase these, and it does take a lot of work to erase them. So I'm going to let this slowly dry. And once again, you have to cover everything because you don't want certain parts to dry before the others because it'll crack at the joints. I'll cover it up with, I'll probably cover it up with paper towels so it can absorb some of the moisture. I will wrap plastic here. I'm going to keep this on here because if it shrinks, this has enough give. But I do need to constantly check So I'm going to put plastic on there right now, so I won't forget. Actually, you don't have to do plastic. You can do a paper towel if you want. So I'll just take this damp paper towel and I'll just wrap it around here, kind of like a bandage. Keep that area moist. Okay, you don't want it sopping wet, but you just don't want that joint to dry, because I have wet clay, and then this is pretty, it's much drier. Okay. So carefully take this out for now. Bandage this guy up. Keep this for support. Okay, so that's about it. And you know, with clay, especially with hand building, you have to be patient. Okay, you have to keep an eye on it. I was just thinking if this is going to topple over, because it's kind of heavy over here. And I better check that. Maybe I need to lean this a little bit more so it doesn't topple over, become heavy on one side. Okay, I think it's going to be okay. So with hand building, you have to be patient. You have to let it dry slowly. You have to monitor it every day. You have to make sure you know what parts are drying faster than the others. And then once it's not bone dry, but before bone dry, between leather hard and bone dry, you can start painting with ongo, but you have to have, not ongo, underglaze, but you have to do probably, if you want a solid coverage, you need really 3 layers. And the first coat might dry faster, but the second and third coats are going to take time to dry. And you still need to cover it after you paint, you know, with underglaze. But I would put a layer of paper towel just in case there might be condensation on the plastic and you don't want that to drip onto your piece, okay? Because it might streak or ruin the underglaze, okay? So hopefully you'll make one of these, okay? So thank you, bye-bye.